Alright, let's check out what's going on with MATIC. So, tons of my subscribers, tons of people in my Discord have been asking me to cover MATIC for quite some period in time. It was one of the cryptos I covered when I first started my channel, and it seems like a bunch of open interest has jumped back into this since I last covered this. Now, apparently the last time I covered this was the 31st of May. We were calling for a 49% drop, and it looks like we came right down to our price target. This was literally the last time I made a video over on MATIC. It's been quite some time now, so let's reevaluate the market structure and see what is currently going on. So let's draw out this support box. This was this was a previous floor down here from 30 cent. You've also got a 1.618 Fibonacci down here. So right off the back, in the very short term, in my opinion, we are at least going to get magnetized down to 30 cent. Now, it's very interesting to see that a lot of people have ran into this recently, but nonetheless, as you can see, the market structure is unchanged. If we do draw a line of best fit, you can see we are still in a downtrend, and even after this most recent run to the upside, we have just solidified another lower high. Now, there's a couple of different ways you can look at this, because technically, I imagine if I don't mention this, there's going to be some people who might be upset, but you do actually have a very, very nice inverse head and shoulders here. Do I think it's going to play out? I don't think it's going to play out. Nonetheless, I do just want to comment on everything I see, even if I don't think it will play. So the support box down here, 31 cent, 29 cent, this is where I think we're coming down to in the short term. The 1.618 fib from this bear flag was beautifully respected. Next level down is all the way down at 4 cent. Yeah, I'm definitely not predicting something like that. And I also think this fib would be way too brutal. Yeah, 12 cent, you know, once again, I don't want to predict 12 cent. Let's draw from this. You've got a beautiful area of confluence, multiple 1.618 Fibonacci's down here and a floor. So right off the back, between the levels of 31 cent and 29 cent, I believe the price is going to be magnetized to this. This is the major point of control, so we're definitely heading down here in my opinion. Now, technically speaking, in the short term, you are still bullish. You also had a chance of a beautiful W pattern, but as you've been heading down for the past 4 days, this has now been invalidated. You can potentially say, hey, this could just be another smaller term W pattern. If we come down to, you know, 51 cent, 52 cent, we could break to the upside. I don't see it happening. I think we're way too overextended right now, and I think I'm going to head over to the oscillators in just one moment's time, but the oscillators are also in agreement with me that we are just way too overextended right now. If we head over to the risk metrics, where have we been on the daily? We've been very beat down for quite some period in time. In the lower time frames, risk metric is very high right now, so it's very unlikely that we're going to have another leg to the upside. In fact, we have not been this overextended on MATIC since the 1st of January. So we're basically the most extended that we have been in the past 7 months. So bear in mind, if you are FOMOing into MATIC right now, you are buying at the most risky point in time of the past 7 months. I really don't think the risk to reward ratio would be with you on this one, and especially, I'm going to talk about this towards the end, but Bitcoin's capitulating. You know, Bitcoin is basically right now in the midst of confirming this uptrending level of support that is also a bear flag breakdown to be support flip resistance. Tons of momentum coming on over on Bitcoin, which once again, I'll finish on that towards the latter half of this video. But I think everything's going to head down. On the daily time frame as well, it's very interesting how you can see this high, you actually had no momentum coming in whatsoever over on the squeeze bomb. You had a fake out up to this uptrending level of support here, and on this most recent run to the upside over on the squeeze momentum indicator, it was a fairly impressive run if you are looking at it in terms of a % increase, and you are looking at the lower time frames, because you can basically see it did a 2x. But when you do put things into perspective, you can see, you know, since the most recent macro breakdown, we went down, you know, 82%. So as you do, if you do head down 82%, you do a 2x, you're still down 63% from the most recent macro move to the downside. So I don't think anything has changed in my opinion, and I do believe that if you are getting in now, if you are already in, you're probably going to get slaughtered if you do hold on for too much longer. The volume coming in right now is exponentially increasing. Over on Coinbase today, there has been 50 million MATIC sold. Now, let's look over on Binance and Bybit and look at how much volume is coming in over here. So on the daily time frame, 168 million over on Binance Tether pair. Over on the BUSD pair, 1.4 billion has been sold. So today over on Binance, there is the most amount of volume that has been sold since, I don't want to overextend this. I want to make sure I'm giving you the right accurate price tag. I think it was right here. So yeah, it was all the way here. The last time we had this amount of selling volume coming in was the 22nd of July 2021. So this was almost a full year ago we had this amount of selling volume coming in. This is definitely pretty brutal over on Binance right now, and you have to bear in mind we're in a completely different market structure than we were back here. So, you know, back over here the dip could have got gobbled up by retail because, you know, we were still in a bull market. We're not in that same market situation right now. So there, you know, with the Fed raising the interest rates, there is not as much money in the economy at this moment in time. Subsequently, you know, you do not have enough to counteract 1.5, well, it's 1.48, we're just rounding up, 1.5 billion sold. So you've got the worst volume that you've got in the past year. 168, I think we already talked about this one, yeah, 168. Over on the daily today, over on Bybit, 271 million. So definitely not looking good right now. I think we're getting ready to absolutely catapult ourselves to the downside. I don't know why that was such a mouthful. I would also like to highlight, you have just basically, so if we go back a step, $2.19. This is when we flip bearish on the daily EMA ribbons. You had a fake out breakdown, came into them breakdown, fake out breakdown, came into the EMA ribbons breakdown. You came into the EMA ribbons breakdown, came into the EMA ribbons breakdown, and once again you've solidified a double top with, you know, 1.5 billion MATIC sold. I think it's about time that we start massively heading to the downside very soon. 4 hourly time frame, let's actually look at our EMA ribbons once again. 4 hourly time frame, you have just fell below the 4 hourly EMAs, and over on the squeeze momentum indicator, the momentum is coming in, volume is coming in as you're breaking beneath this. So just like when we broke down into the bottom of the EMA ribbons here, we came down to the 200 EMA, what you saw was a massive influx of volume. You know, you had 14 million bought, 17 million bought, and bear in mind this is over on Coinbase, so I'm sure if we look at different exchanges it will be a lot higher. But what I'm trying to say is you had a volume confirmed bounce from the bottom of these EMA ribbons. I can't speak on what's going to happen in the next 4, 8, 12 hours, but at this moment in time, we're not having a volume confirmed bounce, we're having a volume confirmed breakdown. And as we're coming down to the 200 EMA, if we do have a daily close below 54.5 cent, you are going to see a massive leg back down. If we finish off the MATIC TA over on the momentum indicators and the oscillators before we do update Bitcoin and let you know what's going on over there, once again, tons of volume coming in. We already talked about this on the daily time frame. EMA ribbons, or sorry, not the EMA ribbons, the MACD is the second most extended it's been since the 3rd of April. So, you know, this has been a while since we've been up to these levels. We haven't been above the heart line of the MACD in a very long time. You're getting some pretty convincing momentum coming in over on the histogram, which is pulling the MACD to the downside. Bear in mind, you know, you may think that what we've done now with the double top volume coming in is bearish. Momentum indicators haven't even crossed yet on the daily. So looking at the money flow indicator on the daily time frame, this got completely overextended. It's above the heart line. It's even worse on the 4 hour. We'll talk about that in a sec. And also, squeeze mom, as you can see, you just created a rounding top and you started to head down. This is basically a bunny hill, where I always talk about this. I made a video about bunny hills, but bunny hills are basically where you come up to the top of the EMA ribbons, or you come into the EMA ribbons, you create a rounding top, which is signifying a loss of momentum. And over on the squeeze momentum indicator, you have the same thing. You've got a rounding top where you have a nice run up in momentum, you start to lose that momentum, starts to subside, and you massively capitulate. This is what we've got going on right now. Over on the daily time frame as well, no, 4 hourly time frame rather, you can see that we are heading down below the 200 EMA as of the time of recording this. So once again, 54.5 cent, keep your eyes on it. If we push below there on the daily, it's going to get a lot worse. 4 hourly time frame, let's move over to the 4 hourly momentum indicators. 4 hourly MACD has not yet crossed below the heart line, and look at these histograms. They are absolutely heading crazily to the downside. The last time we started off a histogram trend with this much momentum coming in was right over here, and the MACD went from all the way up here to all the way down here. And bear in mind, we've basically got almost the same amount, because this was on the first 4 hourly. We've got almost as much momentum as we've got over here coming in at this moment in time. So I do think we're getting ready for a massive leg to the downside. When this happened over here, you had this was a lower high as well, so bear in mind market structure is unchanged. You had another 34% drop to the downside before you had that bounce. I don't think that bounce is going to be coming for MATIC. I think we're coming right down to take out the floor at 41 cent. 4 hourly time frame. We already talked about the risk metrics being super overextended, so pair this with the fact that the money flow indicator is over 63 right now. This is super overextended. We're way above the heart line, and considering that we're in a bear market, a lot of people ran into this. It is not a good sign. We're probably getting ready to head down. 4 hourly squeeze mom is also capitulating at this moment in time. A good amount of momentum coming in over on this, and as of the time of recording this, I just saw this is pulsing. The 4 hourly MACD histogram is just pulsing and exponentially pushing to the downside as we take out levels like the 4 hourly EMAs, as we've got this volume coming in, as momentum shifts bearish, and as we fall below the 200 EMA on the 4 hourly time frame. Everything's calling for lower levels. Bitcoin as well. As you can see, we are basically confirming this breakdown from the bear flag breakdown. 1 hourly EMA ribbons, once again, 1 hourly MACD flipping bearish. I don't know why I always call this the EMA ribbons, but nonetheless, MACD flipping bearish, MFI heading down, squeeze bomb heading down on the 1 hour. It's the same on the 4 hour. Bitcoin's breaking below a massive pattern. I talked about this fractal before. We are getting ready for the next major leg to the downside, just like we did here. It's going to happen over here. I think Bitcoin's coming right down to 18,500. I also think we've got room to head down. 18,500 is absolutely not my bottoming target. If you're only just finding this channel, I've been saying 16,500 is probably my most conservative bottom target. 14,000 is where I really think we're heading down to. That's where I'm going to start unloading, backing up the truck, buying lots of Bitcoin, and 12,500 is my most bearish price target for Bitcoin. So a lot of room to the downside. Where do I think MATIC's going down to? I think we're at least coming back down to here at 2.9, and I really don't think that we're going to bottom at this previous level. So let's see. 2.618 down here at 4 cent. You really don't have much support built out for this. So 29 cent would be the floor, but we've already come down to here, so you can imagine how bearish it's going to be if we do take out the floor. Honestly, there is really not a lot holding this trend up. If you do break below 29 cent, you could see a further 56% capitulation down to the 12 cent region. This is where your 1.618 Fibonacci resides. Am I saying that at this moment in time this is my prediction for where we're going to move down to? Not necessarily. I do definitely think it's on the table, but let's start off with our first leg to the downside, which from where we are now is going to be another 46.5% drop on the daily time frame. If you want to hold on for another couple of days, keep your eyes on the 200 EMA, because we held this before as previous strong support, and as you can see on the 4 hour, we really seem to respect it a lot. So on the daily, if you hold a daily candle body close above 54.5, there might be some chance for another dead cat bounce before we roll to the downside. Now, I know already some people might be saying, especially if after I record this video, we do close above 54.5 cent. I already see the comments, bro, we closed above 54.5 cent. Are we going to the moon now? No, if we do not close below 54.5 cent, it's just going to be, another day or so, another day or two before we do get that major capitulation. This is going to follow Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin takes that massive leg below this bear flag breakdown, you're going to see the breakdown very, very quickly. So that's all I've got for you today, my friends, and as always, cowboy out. Peace.